To continue with the same spirit, and now I would like to call onto the stage Dr. Rene from the Faculty of Law, Business and Economics at the University of Beirut in Germany. Dr. Rene brings a wealth of academic and practical insights on law, business and economic integration in the East African region. Please join me in welcoming him onto the stage and give him a big round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. Sabah Wanaksen, Magaega wa Rene, and but I will change to English. It's much easier for me than Somali language. Ladies and gentlemen, dear students. What a wonderful start we had yesterday. What an inspiring opening for EACCON 2025. And first of all, I bring you warm greetings from Professor Toko Kaime, the chairholder at our German partner university Bayreuth in Bavaria. He would have loved to be here today, but exactly today, he is guiding two of my dear colleagues through their PhD defenses. One of them from the beautiful country of Malawi and one from Tanzania. At Bayreuth, we are not only an excellence cluster of academics in Germany, we are an excellence cluster for African studies. We are the voice of Africa in the German academic landscape. And I'm deeply proud that we selected from the German federal government again to hold this status for another 7 years. Let me tell you a short story. In the spring of 2022, I was in Somalia, and to be honest, I had already lost my heart to this country. From the very first visit in 2017, I was fascinated from the spirit of the Somali people. Many say Somalis are resilient against everything, against hierarchies, against outside pressures, against circumstances. But ladies and gentlemen, dear students, I don't call that resilience. I call that love for freedom. Somalis love freedom. They love self-determination, and they don't easily give it away. Yes, that does not make it easy to build a state, maybe, but that is what makes you to such great researchers. You are curious. You always want to take the one more step into the unknown, and nothing can stop you. In new technologies, in artificial intelligence, in business, and dealing with crisis, that spirit shines through. Let's use this spirit for the future issues. That's why over these 2 days, I want us to focus not on the old headlines, not on piracy, not on terrorism, not on civil war, but on the future. Let's talk about AI, about smart farming, and about regional integration in the East African community. And back to my story. When I sat in my hotel in 2022, not far from here, Jazeera Hotel, I already had one thought: to get to know the young and dynamic university scene in Somalia. I met some inspiring people, professors, and also other academics. And through our good friend, Professor Yahya, I heard about CMAT University. The rest happened quickly. I met Dr. Ali Olo. Together we built a plan. Soon we had a memorandum of understanding. We started streaming lectures from Bayreuth to Somalia. We organized visits in both directions. And today, here at EACCON, we met for the second time. Ladies and gentlemen, we signed that MOU almost exactly 3 years ago on September 1st, 2022. By the way, the MOU was signed by the current rector, Abdikarim Mohadin. And it's truly amazing what we have achieved together since then. Why do I tell you this story? Because I want to ask you one simple question. If so much good can come from a meeting between just two people with the same vision, then, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, look around you. Look to your left, look to your right, maybe behind you, and ask yourself what we can achieve together. Cooperation does not need to move slowly. It can grow exponentially. And EACCON is our catalyst, our accelerator. We want to accelerate cooperation, we want to accelerate human connections, and we want to accelerate academic exchange. What drives us? Our mutual interest, our passion for academic excellence, and most of all, our friendship. None of this would be possible without support. So from my heart, I want to thank my friend Dr. Ali Olo, the former rector and current ambassador to US, Daya Hassan, and the whole team of ZIMAT University, Rector Abdikarim Mohamedin, Dr. Yahya, Dr. Mohammed Muhammad, who unfortunately left ZIMAT family to become rector of the National University, Juwaria Mohammed, Abdi Wahab Isak, and all our friends from ZIMAT. You made this event possible. My dear friends, I really don't know what I will do next coming weeks without our EACCON video conferences on Saturday morning. And let me not forget our partners from GIZ, who believed in us from the very beginning, supported us in so many ways, and helped make this Congress possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important words in any speech come at the very end. Without the support of my wife, Asli Ahmedeh, the partnership between Bayreuth and ZIMAT would never be happened. Together, we are probably the strongest personal bridge between Germany and Somalia. It's thanks to her that we can help move Somalia forward today. That deserves a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Mahat Sanit.
Thank you, Dr. Renee, for the welcoming remarks. And fadlan dadka gudaha ku jiro howlka iyo qaybta gadaalaba fadhiyo sawaxan aad u badan sameynaysiin dad international aan la jiro fadlan aan isku xishoono presentationada aan dhageysano buuqana please naga dhaafa aad u mahadsantihiin. Today being the second day of the conference and the last, it is of special significance, for there are going to be theme-specific keynote addresses, paper presentations, and engaging panel discussions, which we all look forward to listening to and learning from. With that, now we are going to proceed to paper presentations, and I would like to call onto the stage Mr. Luemba Musa. Luemba Musa is a lecturer and head of the Department of Political Science at the Islamic University in Uganda, and he serves as the research coordinator in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and he is the editor-in-chief of the IUIU Journal of Social Sciences. He is a PhD candidate at Pochi University in Nigeria and holds a master's in political science from Jawaharlal Nehru University in India and holds a bachelor's in social sciences from Makerere University. Please join me in welcoming him onto the stage and give him a big round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. Let me take the opportunity to thank the organizers for this great opportunity and for the service that they have accorded to us since we came in here. We are really humbled as delegates from Uganda with my colleagues, and we don't take anything for granted. My name is Luemba Musa, and I'm from the Islamic University in Uganda. Our theme tonight fits directly into what we have on board, advancing the productive sector. When I was looking at Africa and Uganda specifically, I realized that 74 to 75% of the people are actually engaged in agriculture. Now, what I would look at as the productive sector for a country like Uganda is agriculture. But as we all know, agriculture does not perform on itself. It can't give us the long-term sustainable and dependable development. This is where agriculture meets industrialization. But to meet industrialization is to strategically place places where agriculture can be made to perform and actually provide for the community. This is how we arrived at the agro-industrial parks. The reason as to why we are here today is the integration, and that is why I would feel that the activity that connects us as Africans is actually supposed to be what we do best, and that is where agriculture meets the regional integration. But then you also appreciate that largely agriculture is done in the rural areas. And for all the different factors of production that we see within the rural areas, this is where agriculture is largely placed, and this is where the industrial parks are largely placed. The country where I come from, they have been placed all over the country. The government is trying strategically to place them in the north in Soroti, and east in Ambale, in west in Barara, and other places. Now, looking at the contribution of agriculture, the figures vary from one country to another, but we all appreciate that all our countries are actually an agro-economy. But now, the parks that we stand here to talk about tonight are actually what we are looking at as instrumental strategic places that will accelerate the contribution of agriculture and therefore lead us to rural transformation. With rural transformation, we are talking about improvement in household welfare, improvement in purchasing power parity, promoting cross-border cooperation, and the rest. These parks have been called differently, like earlier speakers noted. In some countries like India, they are called special economic zones. And in Uganda, we are looking at them as, thank you. In Uganda, we are looking at them as industrial parks. They can do a lot, but we are looking at the support that we can derive from an activity like agriculture. When you look at Uganda, these are managed by the Uganda Investment Authority. Can we proceed? Yeah, this is just a snapshot. It isn't a very clear view, but a snapshot of some of those places where we see agro-industrialization actually happening. Can we proceed? Yes, proceed. Proceed. Okay. I don't think I need to explain regional integration. At least from the time we came here, everyone has actually been brought on board. But can we enhance cooperation as a region through all the different forums, common trade, agriculture, agro-industrialization, infrastructures that connect the region as one, and so on and so forth. Yes, please. There is quite an area of literature regarding agro-industrialization and the risks and the opportunities that come with that. Some scholars believe that yes, we shall benefit from it, but it will come at a cost. Are we ready to improve the infrastructures that must connect the agro-processing, industrialization, or even the agro-industrial parks? Are we ready to put there regulatory frameworks as a government that will actually invite investors to come into our country? Because we all appreciate that the biggest player in the agro-industrialization aspect in the agro-industrialization parks is actually the market. And yes, when the market comes into the country, there must be some kind of a conducive environment in terms of taxation policies, regulatory frameworks, infrastructures, security, and the rest. So that is what must come for us to make the best out of what we are looking at this morning. Can we proceed? This is how the study was conducted. I appreciate that it had a limitation. Looking at the time frame, 30 respondents wouldn't actually give us the best responses, and also it would even have been important for us to include in officials from the government to actually give us their view on what they think about agro-industrial parks and how they can support development of our societies, and how they are ready to face the challenges that come with agro-processing industrialization. Can we proceed? This is a summary of what we found out. The biggest expectation from these agro-industrialization parks, so agro-industrial parks, is actually supposed to be household incomes. We noted that majority of these are located within the rural areas, and actually they must support the rural population. Now, are we ready to see an improvement in the income levels of the people within the rural areas, in the places where these parks have been placed? You will also appreciate that other scholars, as in the literature, have noted that whereas these improve household incomes, but they also create income inequalities amongst the people, because the regional imbalances that come with income imbalances, and at the end of the day, then we must do some kind of a cost-benefit analysis for the same. Then when you look at the response from the job creation, we know that these places are employment centers. If you look at those parks, wherever they are in the morning and the evening, you actually see a fleet of individuals going to the parks and leaving the parks. It is a sign in itself that they are doing a contribution to the economy. The other question would be how much of that contribution actually leaps into what we are talking about today, which is the integration. How much incomes are we talking about here for people who work in those companies? And how much incomes versus the cost of living of our countries, so that these incomes actually make sense to the people. Thank you. When we talk about improved women employment, we'll also appreciate that the majority of the people who work in these agro-industrial parks are women. At least that cuts across the whole of Africa. The reason is simple. Some of these, for lack of a better word, are low-paying jobs. And then this woman, it is easy for her to actually work under such a circumstance when you compare her to a man. That is why the majority of the people who are employed within these parks are actually women. But also when you look at the nature of the work that is done there, it requires women for that matter. Hard labor is and has fewer opportunities within the same. So it is about, hard labor would be about just machinery and machinery operations. And these are very few of the same opportunities. You talk about management and administration, this is where men would actually want to fit in. So we appreciate the contribution to women's employment, but again, we are also asking for more if we are to benefit from the same. Local processing, we know that these are agro-industrial parks, and therefore they must provide a market for their agricultural products. And given the fact that they are within the rural areas, then we expect that the raw materials that are going to support these parks actually come from these rural areas. So this is where the agro-industrial parks connect with the market. We've seen them into coffee making. We've seen them into animal-related products and the same. And where the majority of the raw materials that are used within these industries are actually provided by the local population. The challenge comes in when there is a disconnect between these parks and the community in terms of what is given at its list, but also in terms of sometimes the infrastructures, but also in terms of who determines the cost that these people must actually accord to to us when we sell our products or our commodities to them. Then market stability. AIPs sometimes provide a market stability. One, the distances where these people must move the commodities are actually smaller. But then also, two, they provide what the government is actually supposed to have provided, buffer stocks and stabilization funds. There are moments when there is a boom within production, and when that boom comes in, then we need a market for us to reduce on the exploitation that is going to come in form of prices coming down, given the fact that we are talking about agricultural products now. So that gap is actually what the industrial parks, agro-industrial parks must fill. And this is what we are talking of as post-harvest losses, that whenever there is a boom into production, they come in to close the gap by providing what would have been provided when there is scarcity. And that is now a provision of the post-harvest losses, that they give us that kind of market. Infrastructure developments. Yes, to some extent, governments are trying hard, but I think we still in some way, we need to do more because where most of these parks have been put up, most of the constructions are actually undergoing. And in terms of roads and all the rest, but yet this would actually be a very, very good precursor for our development and also a chance for the integration. Because while in Uganda you would see trucks coming from Tanzania, from Kenya, from DRC and the rest. And one of the biggest complaint is, I wish the roads were very good so that I'm able to make tons and tons out of this. So I think that is why the percentage comes down to around 43%. That these people actually feel that we've done, but we've not done enough to promote the quick transportation of these goods and services. Affordable credit. It is not very easy, especially when you look at when we are talking about farmers. Remember, in most of our societies, we are looking at peasant farmers with less of collateral security for that. And this is what would actually promote their production to be able to supply these agro-industrial parks. The fact that they also work within meager plots of land makes them incapable of making big supplies to the industrial parks. And what therefore means is we either supply in small tons, or we actually miss the chance that we would have got from benefiting from our connection with the agro-processing, the agro-industrial parks. Then the issue of value addition and income maximization. They noted that the aspect of value seems to be still missing when we talk about our AIPs in Africa generally. What amount of value do we add to our products and our commodities, which we later on must sell out or even sell within our countries? You will realize that it is simple value addition. But what does simple value addition fetch when we talk about the international market? This is where I think our governments must actually come in to boost. One, we can invite investors who can make concrete, complex value addition so that we make use of our local resources, but then we can also support the farmers who are giving us these raw materials. How much do we get from the coffee that we pick from these farmers? But then how much, when it is processed from outside, do we derive from the sellout? So there is that kind of imbalance that we talk about. And then also when it comes to income maximization, agriculture becomes a funny kind of activity, funny for lack of a better word, but with due respect, that a lot of effort is actually put in by these farmers who are providing to us the raw materials that we take to the AIPs. But then you realize that in the long run, it is going to be subjected to the market conditions, the forces of demand and supply, and all the other climate and so on and so on and so on, infrastructures, etc. price mechanisms at hand and the rest. Now, at the end of the day, this farmer who would have actually benefited from his effort when he moves out to sell to the AIPs does not get the actual benefit. But at the end of the day, because he doesn't have an option, is left with no option but to actually continue selling amidst the low and the meager rates. So it means, therefore, that people feel that we would do more, probably through government regulations or price controls, and then at the end of the day, we help support the AIPs and the farmer relationships. Cross-border trade, we appreciate that these AIPs are located in specific countries, but then they've also helped to connect between the different countries. At least you would see that the government has placed them strategically in places that connect to borders. Those in Barara, they should be able to access DRC. Those in eastern Kenya is very near. Then those in also in Sorot and the rest, southern Sudan and the rest. So it means that local production can actually boost the region by creating those enormous trade relationships between the different countries. The discussion on tariffs yesterday, I think, would even actually make more sense if the countries in the region opened up their spaces, so that we do this with less restriction. Uganda to Kenya, Kenya to Somalia, Tanzania to DRC and the rest. And this is where the integration would actually make more sense. But for as long as we still have the differential policies and the rest supported by other factors, then it is increasingly going to be extremely difficult. Regional investors, at least like we noted, the majority of the people who man these AIPs are actually investors from the region or even from away from the region. And this is an opportunity for us. This person who brings in his money into the country should actually be able to contribute to the economy, but as well as deriving the profits and that he has actually put into the process. So that should be a plus for us. Harmonization, that is a matter of governance, and I think yesterday it was discussed at length. In conclusion, therefore, allow me to state that the AIPs actually serve as strategic instruments for transforming rural economies and positioning Uganda as a competitive player within the East African region. It will require the governments to actually work together as a whole so that we can all derive the same benefits, because this is not a one country kind of effort. It can only be a regional effort, especially given the fact that we all work within the same, or we are all supposed to work within the same frameworks. Thank you very much. And
thank you very much, Mr. Luembe Musa, for the wonderful presentation. We are going to proceed with the paper presentations, and now I would like to call on to the stage Dr. Urliki, who is a lawyer and a researcher specializing in environmental law, climate change, and disaster management. She has a doctorate in law from Frederick Shelley University, and her work bridges policy, governance, and resilience, especially in fragile contexts. And she is the head of human resources at the University of Beirut in Germany and climate change fellow at CIMAT University's Institute of Climate and Environment. Please join me in welcoming her into the stage.
not working now. Okay. I can use it. So, good morning, everybody. First, I would like to thank the director of ICE Institute of CMOT University for giving me the space to talk to you today about an interdisciplinary approach that I came across in the last months. So today I would like to talk about a literature study that I did recently, and in this study I summarized a current state of theory and research on this topic of disaster management for crop protection. I positioned it within the discourse and also came across some recommendations for action. So let us first have a quick look at the agenda, if it's working right now, okay. First I would like to give you some background information and answer two questions. What is disaster management for crop protection and why is that important today in Somalia? The second part focuses on the essential aspect of the topic, the conceptual framework. In this section, I will present three problems and solution approaches from the fields of law, organization, and community that are particularly interesting. And in the third part, I will address the question of how the advancement of disaster management for crop protection in Somalia can be supported. We start with the background information. So a disaster is a major damage event that's exceeding the local capacities. And when thinking about flood disasters, what my study is mainly about, most people think about protecting settlements from the floodings. But what makes this approach different from disaster management for crop protection? The main differences lie in the protection philosophy and in the asset hierarchy. So settlements are considered high-value assets that must be protected from natural hazards. Agricultural areas, on the other hand, are often used as retention spaces and are deliberately flooded to protect the settlements. This reflects a hierarchy where human health and infrastructure take priority. For settlements, structural measures such as dikes and retention basins are central for preventing damage through physical barriers. But for agricultural areas, nature-based solutions and adaptive management dominate to strengthen system resilience and utilize water balance. Disaster management for crop protection is thus a special area of disaster management that must be viewed fundamentally differently from the protection of settlements. Now, why is that important? On this slide, you see three figures from my study. 8% of Somalia's land area in use is used for crop cultivation. The arable land in use is therefore very limited and valuable. Second figure, at least 20 flood disasters happened in Somalia in the last 25 years. That means almost every year the farmers have lost their harvests, including post-harvest losses, as well as damage to irrigation system and supply chains. Flooding is therefore a permanent threat to agriculture. Now the third figure. The 2023 flood disaster in Somalia caused damage of approximately $57 million only in agriculture and livestock. So the costs of individual flooding events are therefore enormously high. So why is disaster management for crop protection important? Because agricultural areas are scarce, they are highly threatened, and damage recovery is extremely expensive. Let me now present to you excerpts of what I have learned in my study about how to improve the disaster management for crop protection. We start with an example from the legal field. So the law forms the important foundation for disaster management by establishing rules and framework conditions for how flood disasters can be prevented and managed. This also includes using land for structural flood protection measures and retention areas. As in other EAC countries, Somalia has a pluralistic legal system in which state law, traditional customary law, and religious law are recognized alongside each other, and this diversity also exists in disaster management, but also leads to the so-called land tenure insecurity, which complicates the handling of land rights and belongs to one of the greatest legal challenges in disaster management. Land tenure insecurity means uncertainty about land rights and usage claims. In Somalia, it arises from informal ownership conditions, competing clan claims, and unclear inheritance succession. This is particularly problematic for areas that are needed for the flood protection. Studies show that land tenure insecurity severely limits the willingness of investors to invest in flood protection. Reliable ownership and compensation claims are therefore crucial for such investments. Added to this problem is the uncertainty about which areas exactly should be used for structural flood protection and retention areas. So my proposal, or the approach I came across for more legal certainty and better investments, would be the expansion of land administration systems, mainly in the flood areas. Such systems capture, document, and manage land rights, ideally digitally, and should have a special extension. The property maps should be connected with geoinformation data to identify the flooding areas, the rescue routes, and suitable retention areas. You might know the cost-effective, fit-for-purpose approach to land administration from some pilot projects that could be well suited for this approach. So now, what would we need to implement such an approach? You see it here on the right side. You would need geodata first within the land register. You would need specific knowledge about property rights. And third, human and financial resources or capacities for setup and maintenance. Now, let's have a look at the second topic after law, namely organization. The organizational level translates the legal framework into practicable structures. One of the most important structures when it comes to disaster management is hazard analysis. It systematically identifies natural hazards such as flooding and heavy rainfall. It provides the basis for protective measures and management planning. The hazard analysis for agriculture areas combines expertise from disaster management, meteorology, from agriculture and water management, and many more. The key role in this is played in Somalia by national and regional task forces. Task forces coordinate expertise and resources. They bring together experts and enable quick, flexible action. It is important that in the task forces agricultural scientific knowledge on soil protection and water retention as well as local knowledge are adequately represented. From my literature study, it emerges that hazard analysis still can be improved. A frequent recommendation from the literature is strengthening task forces through better equipment and clear decision-making pathway. Also, specialist personnel and local actors should be included. At the same time, the literature identifies challenges such as competency overlaps and institutional friction between task forces at different levels. Without good networking, the quality of the analysis can or will be reduced. An evaluation of the cooperation and effectiveness of these groups has been largely lacking so far, as well as reliable data on knowledge transfer and resource access within the task forces. These findings show that besides solution approaches, regular evaluations are also necessary to check and improve the measures. So what would we need for possible implementation of the approach of strengthening the task forces? First, again, data, evaluation data. Second, systems, a system for transparent and effective networking across different action levels. And third, financial and human resources, so capacities. Now we come to the third level, the community level, where the law and organization are effective shows on the local level. Therefore, local knowledge in dealing with flooding is central when it comes to disaster management. Successful prevention and management of flood disasters by local actors requires specific knowledge about soil protection, erosion control, water management, retention measures, as well as cultivation and variety selections when it comes to the crops. Crisis management and follow-up care are also important and differ from community to community. The studies I came across recommend systematic capacity building when it comes to local knowledge, but there's currently a lack of data on how the knowledge is effectively acquired, passed on and maintained in Somali communities. The literature also focuses on the idea of integration of local and scientific knowledge. That is how old and new knowledge can be connected. The literature warns against excessive standardization and selective use. On the other hand, concrete studies on knowledge transfer are also missing. These gaps make targeted support for capacity building by donors and organizations difficult. Therefore, the approach is research on the processes of knowledge acquisition, transfer, and preservation. By this, more sustainable and effective programs can be developed. This approach requires from us primarily knowledge, and second, again, capacities for the research. Now, in the last few minutes, I've shown you through 3 examples from law, organization, and community what we need for a framework for disaster management for crop protection. It's knowledge, data, systems, and capacities. Knowledge about processes, methods, and challenges exists, but must be documented and structured, and also knowledge gap must be identified in order to close them. Data is the basis of modern research and essential in disaster management. We must collect, structure, link it, and also identify the gaps here to close them. Systems are necessary for the cooperation of institutions and actors, as the example of task forces shows. And finally, capacities are needed, financial and human resources, as became clear in all 3 of the examples. After we have discussed the prerequisites for our framework, I would like to briefly address the implementation process. That is how we actually could implement the framework. Now, very short, these 6 steps are known to most of you from many projects and could only serve here. Challenges for the implementation, such as finances and security, are known to all of us. Nevertheless, we must begin with the first step if food security in Somalia is to be taken seriously. Regarding the first step, the knowledge audit. This systematically captures existing knowledge and presents it in an overview. Important areas such as risk assessment, protective measures, organization, as well as local and scientific knowledge are analyzed within the audit. At the same time, knowledge gaps are identified. This creates an overview of strengths and weaknesses that enables targeted research and development work. One can see knowledge like a puzzle. It shows which pieces are missing, which connections are missing, and which new topics must be added to comprehensively design the desired outcome. In Somalia's ministries, authorities, universities, the EAC and international partners, there are so many experts with whom we can jointly put together the puzzle of the knowledge audit. Due to the complexity of disaster management, cooperation is essential from my perspective. Anyone with responsibility for disaster management for crop protection in Somalia will find experienced contacts here in Mogadishu and today with knowledge and networks. We can therefore start with the knowledge audit immediately. So food security and disaster management in Somalia are closely linked. Due to increasing and stronger flood disasters, plant production urgently needs protection. Implementation will take years, but the prerequisites for a successful start are currently better than ever. With the support of the EAC, committed research institutions, strong international partners, and the political will. I am convinced that effective disaster management for crop protection will strengthen the food security in Somalia. Let us start today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Orliki, for the amazing presentation. To proceed with our program, now we are going to have a panel discussion which is going to focus on leveraging AI to reinvent agriculture and food security in the era of climate change. And this panel discussion is going to be moderated by Patience Awigba, and who is a program specialist at UNESCO's regional office for Eastern Africa, Nairobi, Kenya. May I ask Patience to come onto the stage? And followed by the panelists, Mr. Abdi Mohammed Hussein, who is the Executive Director, Somali Agricultural Regulatory and Inspection Services. May I ask Mr. Abdi Mohammed to join Patience on the stage? Our next panelist is Ms. Veronica, who is Deputy Head of Program, FILE, Somalia. May I please ask Ms. Veronica to join us on the stage? Leonardo. Okay. A small correction, Ms. Veronica is not with us. She was supposed to be on the panel, but she's going to be represented by Leonardo. Thank you very much for joining us on the stage. Next panelist is Dr. Celefista Dixon, who is Executive Director, Association for Strengthening Agricultural Research in Eastern and Central Africa. May I please ask you to join us on the stage? Second last panelist is Isa Mohammaduli, who is AI strategist dedicated to leveraging artificial intelligence for sustainable development. Isa, please join us on stage. And the final panelist on this lineup is Anna Sophia Reina, who is International Stakeholder Relations and Strategic Engagements. Please join us on stage, Anna. I will protocol team, can we please have more seats? One more seat.
Or I'll just stand here with you.
That's fine.
And as a quick note, good morning everyone. As a quick note, Ms. Anna Reina won't be able to join as well. Hopefully we might get a few remarks. But I guess as they're bringing that on, we can start with a little bit of background and intro from the panelists.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to hand it over to the moderator. Thank you. Take it away, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yes. This morning, we will be looking at a very crucial topic to us in Africa, and that is the agricultural sector. Because Africa is essentially an agrarian economy. And we are going to be looking at how we can leverage AI to reinvent agriculture and food security in the era of climate change. The issue of climate change is very, very familiar to everyone now. We are all recipients of the impact it has caused, and especially to the agricultural sector. In Africa, where we depend essentially on rainfall for our agricultural sector, we discovered that because of climate change, often we have the dry season or the wet season that leads to flooding and sometimes eradication of total agricultural produce that we have because of the changes that we experience in climate. And therefore, our distinguished panelists are going to be discussing with us, or sharing with us, emphasizing how Somalia's agricultural future will be better situated within a bigger regional vision, where technology and AI are not only farming tools, but enablers of a long-term agriculture, food security, and also competitiveness and shared prosperity. So the first question we'll be going to, at the end of this session, we are hoping that we'll be able to ask some questions, and these questions should be directed to each of the panelists that you consider that you need responses from.
Sorry for the interruption. I will hand it over back to the moderator. I would like to introduce Dr. Issa Gulet, who is going to be one of the panelists here. He is AI specialist and holds a PhD from Cambridge University. And he is the founder of Urur, offering cloud, AI, and hosting services. Please welcome to the panel.
Okay. Now we have a larger team to discuss the issue of how we can use AI as a tool to ensure that we have a better, productive agricultural sector in Somalia and, of course, in the region as a whole. So, let me set this first question to Mr. Abdi Mohammed Hussein. Mr. Mohammed, you are the Executive Director of Somali Agricultural Regulatory and Inspection Services. How should Somalia integrate AI into inspection, certification, and early warning systems to boost farmer trust and unlock EAC market access? I will want to ask you that question, and if you do not mind, I would ask you the second question. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for this important question. If you talk about the integration of AI into inspection and certification and early warning, our main objective is to build the trust of the farmers, exporters, so that to help Somali's full integration into EAC trade system. So if I give you a good examples where we can integrate in Somali or in the entire region, where we can have smart and risk-based inspections through analysis in the previous data, including the best records, trade route, as well as the product type, to detect the communities of high risk, so that instead of manually checking every community, so we can track the previous data as well as the risks with highest community, so that the regulatory body can use its resource and build the trust of the exporters. The second point where we can tap in when it comes to integration of AI is to use image recognition tools, where we can improve the detection of pests. For instance, AI camera can detect the pest damage, contamination of pests, as well as the purity of the seeds, so that we can build the trust and confidence of the farmers. The third point is, if we can have AI supported certification, verification, as well as lab testing, we can check the accuracy of the data before the approval of the certificates, so that we can speed up the service delivery. So in line with the EAC as well as IPPC and ISTA standards. The fourth point is that AI-based early warning system can combine satellite data, field weather information, so that we can predict the outbreaks of pests, as well as the regulatory body or the mandated body, where they can send early warning or alert message through either SMS or radio. So I'm not saying that we are not going to replace the AI with human part, but building digital trust is where it matters. On the other side, if we build on the trust of AI, we can have easily and smooth movement of communities within the region as well as the rest of the world. So, for instance, on the other side, if we have electronic phytosanitary certificate which has QR code, our communities within the region can move very smooth. If Somali communities reach in any border in the region, the border points can scan the QR as well as so that they can release the communities very easily without delay, and to prevent the fraud of documentation. So this is the parts that we can come in when it comes to certification, inspection, as well as early warning in agriculture sector.
Thank you very much for that interesting contribution to what AI can really do. You see, we had planned for 3 panelists, but because of the importance of this very session, we have a larger team to discuss the issues. So I am just trying to reallocate the questions so that at the end we'll be able to ask questions, critical questions that will help us to come up with some policies and possibly programs and actions that we'll take away from here, so that next year we'll be discussing results rather than restating again the issues, our challenges. So thank you again, Mr. Muhammad, for those your contributions. And I want to call again Mr. Issa Guled, the CEO of Eurozone. Given his background on AI cloud and his work in data center across Somalia, I thought that it would be good for us to hear what his contribution is to the issues of AI into inspections. You know, many things we do in agriculture is usually subsistence and manual. How can AI as a tool help us in your cloud computing? And in addition to that, you know, given your work, what are the two policies or institutional shifts that we need to quickly put in place to ensure that we have agri-data, you know, interoperable with regional platforms, so that we can move quickly and smartly? Over to you. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. That is a very relevant question. I would like to answer that question actually. But overall, Somalia needs more than AI. They need infrastructure. The infrastructure that can collect data and process data. We all know that data is everywhere. All of us, we produce data every day, and data is a crude oil. It's one of the most important commodity that we can say is the data today. With the clear data and data with the quality, we can mimic human brain, meaning that we can create someone like us. When it comes to agriculture, we have a land, we have a big land, and we have farmers. So to start with the baby steps, I recommend that we first get how many farmers do we have? Where are they? And then what kind of sensors we can put there to collect data. Because unless we really collect data, not the BIA data, personal information data, but the crops data, and able to get a real picture what kind of disease we get our crops and what the leaves of every tree looks like. So once we get that collection of data, we can process that data, and then we can analyze data, or we can augment that data as a human-like intelligence. So that human intelligence means automation and processing and making that data available for the end users. The end user is the customer, we know that, who's consuming what the farmers is producing. But how do you do that if you don't have an infrastructure? My company is the first company who really understand the problems of data in Somalia. That's why we built the 2 data centers in Somalia, one in Mogadishu and one in Barbara. Meaning we have to collect the data, process data, and analyze data, and mimic the data to really make it very intelligent data. Because without having intelligent data, there's nothing we can do. So let's collect the information from farmers first, who owns this farm, all the way what farm is producing, and where is there a demand in the market. So you may have a lot of food coming from the farm, but you may not have a place to cool it down or cooling systems. You don't have the accurate data where you can say the market demand is that, so I'm going to plant this kind of crops or this kind of food. What are the two policies I would recommend for the government really to understand that we need a data collection policy? Can we really take the data? Because as you know, data collection in the world that we come from, especially myself from UK, we have something compliance. So data compliance, we have some sort of rules now in Somalia, but to execute that one is going to be challenging. So first is the data collection policy, and then control who has got that access. Because data is all about the ownership. Data is a human for me, but some people, they may see data like something else. So how we can store data storing, data policies that can really rule it out and say only owners can use this data and only something profitable for the country and for the individuals can make use of our data. And we need to keep the data in our country or our countries in East Africa. And that policy has to be in place before we can really collect data. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we applaud him? Yes, thank you very much for that contribution. And let's move again now to Mr. Ugo Leonardi.
Yes, thank you.
And he will be representing Ms. Veronica Mutiro, who is the Deputy Head of Program of the FAO here in Somalia. And he will be addressing where can AI most meaningfully strengthen Somalia's food security, production, post-harvest, or shocks response, and how do we measure this impact? Because that's a critical problem in Africa. We produce, but we waste a lot. What can we do? Pre, post? Thank you very much.
First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm the head of SWALIM, Somalia Water and Land Information Management Unit of FAO Somalia. I'm not an expert in AI, although our unit is one of the most advanced in terms of technology, because we have a very strong geospatial unit. We have drones with LiDAR for data collection. And what I see is coming out quite clearly is the fact that data is the baseline. As long as we have data, we can then instruct the AI for whichever analysis, even more very, very complex. But the problem, underlying problem of AI is that most of the time information are taken from the cloud. And those information sometimes are not precise, sometimes are also misleading. So to me, it's important, and as FAO, what I would say, and we have a policy in this regard, which was recently produced and updated. It's important, first of all, as the other panelist which was talking before me, is to have baseline information which make sense. And as FAO, and especially as SWALIM, we are collaborating strongly with the government in collection of agricultural information. Currently there is a land cover mapping that is ongoing, and that is going to map the whole country. That is the first data set of this kind in 20 years, I guess. So that is the baseline that will be used for instructing the artificial intelligence to derive information that are meaningful for the food security, for early warning, and so on. What I would say is also that at the end of the day, FAO and the government has collected a big amount of information. Somalia, despite is still struggling to have systems in place, I would say that is full of information. There are a lot of information from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and this is another of the work that we are doing, is collecting those information which have been collected a long time ago, and scanning hard copies with OCR, PDF. I mean, you can instruct the AI with those documents after you have been scanning them. And so the idea is to have systems that are picking information that are meaningful, that have been collected by the organization in the past 20 plus years, actually 45 years we have been in Somalia, and instructing the AI to extrapolate what is needed for the government, for the final users, and that is very meaningful in terms of information that is produced, because when you have and I didn't mention the fact that Swalim also collect early warning information. We collect a lot of climate information, hydrological information. So combining all those information and the AI, we know it's very powerful in this regard, because you can really make analysis out of several data sets and in one shot giving you very detailed information and analysis. So having as a baseline those set of information that can be useful for the final user, which is the community, is a work that we are doing, and we are doing together with the government of Somalia. Obviously, a platform like this one could be helping in also having transboundary kind of applications, because if those systems and those data sets are produced in a harmonized way with all the other countries, you can provide precise early warning information that can then help for what concern the prediction of food security, the prediction of agricultural practices, or the prediction of production of agricultural goods. Having an approach that is standardized and harmonized with all the countries of the region, I would say, and this is the right platform to discuss about it, could provide much more precise information rather than the one that we get from global data sets. Global data sets give you some idea on how the climate, the information are going to be, climate information are or forecast, climate forecasts are going to be applied. But having systems that use ground information in Somalia, but all the other countries around Somalia, and the land cover information, agricultural information, all this will create a system that can obviously support all the countries in a very, let's say, harmonized way. So I don't know if I answered your question, but definitely also Dr. Urur, I think, was mentioning the information data is key. So as long as we are able to have a harmonized data set with reliable information, AI is an application that definitely will solve many problems and will give future prediction of what is the food security in the country, in the region, and this is where we are very much engaged. So over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much. Can we applaud him for that contribution? Our time is short, but there is a lot to say. I would have followed up with a question, but I'm happy that you talked about the fact that we need partnership. You know, you can't gather all the data alone. We need, credible data, and that can be done in collaboration with other partners within the EAC, which we would see. Now let's call on our friend from the EAC, Dr. Sylvester Dixon Baguma, the Executive Director, Association for Strengthening Agricultural Research in the Eastern and Central Africa. Without research, this data we are talking about, we can't get it. So tell us, which EAC level research and data access, whether it's in soil mapping, whether it's in pipelines, pest intelligence, and so on, that we need, that can be shared in platforms for AI-enabled decision making. You have the floor. Yeah.
Hello. Is this loud enough? Hello. Oh, this is better. Mahada Sanid, moderator. Magachayu, Awa, Sylvester, Dixon, Baguma. Those are a few words I've learned the few days I've been here. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing them well or not, but I will do better. Yeah, once again, I'm Executive Director of ASARECA. ASARECA is Association for Strengthening Agricultural Research in East and Central Africa. So we have 15 countries as members of ASARECA. ASARECA was created in 1994 and mandated by the government. So we are a government organization, intergovernment organization. In 2023, Somalia became a member, and I'm glad to note that my very good friend here was available when Somalia was being admitted. So I want to thank you, Somalis. 2023, member of East and Central Africa, that is ASARECA, and 2024, member of EAC. We are honored really to join you today here in Mogadishu for this critical conversation. We know that as climate change increases and becomes very real and population grows, the issue of addressing this becomes very, very critical. I and my colleague, Dr. Julian Barungi, are you somewhere there, Julian? Yeah, that one. We came all the way from Uganda to come and be here, so we want really to thank you for inviting us. In fact, before I answer your question, we have seen that we can do a lot of work here in Somalia, despite you being a young country that has joined. So I have seen and appreciated. We are coming back to do some good work with you. Like I said, ASARECA was created by member states, first of all 10 countries, and now we have 15 countries. The minister here, the minister is the member of Patron Council of Ministers. And then the DG, that is Research and Extension, is the member of the board. Then we have the board itself, and then we have ASARECA Secretariat. To go to the question, artificial intelligence is no longer really a futuristic concept. It's a present tool, and the power to revolutionize how we farm, how we eat, how we flourish. And this is something that has to stay. To give you a few examples, in Kenya, the startup Twiga Foods use AI-driven logistics to connect farmers directly to vendors, reducing wastage and improving market access. In Nigeria, Zevenus uses AI sensors to monitor soil moisture and crop health, helping smallholder farmers to make data-driven decisions. In Ethiopia, recently we introduced Pepper AI, and AI models are being used to predict locust outbreaks, enabling early intervention that protect crops and livelihoods. So data is critical. Now we as ASARECA, what we can do is to make sure that we champion shared platforms and data sets at EAC level. Here we are emphasizing interoperability, that is the system must be able to talk together, regional relevance, that you can access the data you want to inform decisions, and of course practical utility. I have 5 areas of data sets that ASARECA can champion. The first one is regional soil information systems. Here we can use this information because we need to ensure that the soils that underpin, soil health that underpins agricultural productivity is taken care of. And yet this data remains fragmented across borders. We have data, but it's fragmented. I do not know whether we have soils data regarding Somalia. I have to check our database. But what is important is that we, as ASARECA, can make sure that we coordinate with national soil labs and ISRIC soils grid to build regional data repositories accessible to researchers and extension agents. Already in CGIAR AAA Atlas, we have created this AI tool to access wide range of data, which is open source, to be able to write good contextual information when we are developing proposals to address climate change. All right? And so we are in a position to make sure that this data is available. Then we have Earth observation data pipelines. This matters because it enables real-time monitoring of crop health, weather patterns, and land use. So, as a regional EO data hub, this can be aggregating satellite imagery like Sentinel, Landsat, drone data, and field sensors to give accurate prediction of what might happen in the future. Last week, we were in Nairobi training people in the use of this system, and it depends really largely on data. So together with CGIAR, we have put a lot of pool of data, and we continue to improve this. So with a little training, you can be able to access it and be able to use it. Like in Kenya, this combined with AI models has helped predict maize yields anomalies, guiding government's input subsidies. So you can already begin to see that AI is not for the young ones, it's for everyone. Even a person who does not know AI, you just have to put your question right, then you generate the right information within little time and then be able to use it. So here as ARECA, we can partner, and we are partnering with RCMRD and ISTECO to standardize these Earth observation data formats and build cloud-based analytical tools for everyone to use in this whole world. The third one, which I'm almost done, pest and disease intelligence platforms. We've just been told here about the disaster management. How do you detect and manage these disasters? So with AI-powered tools, we are able to do cross-border pest surveillance using AI for early warning and outbreak prediction. And here, for example, we have deployed paper AI. Paper, not this paper here, but it's political economy, political analysis, AI-driven tool, which also we trained people last week in Nairobi on how to use this. Like I said last night, those of us who were at this hotel here where we had CEO roundtable, we can be able to generate a policy brief within 15 minutes. Now, instead of you spending month and month collecting data or looking for data to write a policy brief, you have it in 15 minutes. So then your president is helped quickly to make decisions, or even you to implement the right things. So here, we've seen this working very well. In Ethiopia, it has helped to predict wheat rust outbreaks 2 weeks in advance and allowing extension agents to mobilize fungicides and distribute. And this saved 20,000 hectares of crop disaster. How do we manage this? And the fourth one is data integration and AI readiness, because this requires AI models that have clean, structured, and interoperable databases. And so here we want to consolidate soil, crop, and market data. The use of AAA Atlas, we have been able to make very good breakthroughs in Tanzania, all right, where market prices have been integrated with rainfall data, helping to predict bean price spikes, informing trade policy. So AI is for everyone, not for the young ones. In fact, when I did my master's in 1996 in information technology, specializing in management information systems, that's the first time I designed an intelligent knowledge-based system. In fact, it's always the beginning, designing a robot to pick pieces of chalk from a petri dish to another. Little did I know that this has come to stay, including helping you to drive your car smartly, exchanging money across the globe without you knowing what is happening. So we need really to also have AI optimized design support systems as the last one. Because here farmers and policymakers need actionable insights, not raw data, actionable insights. The raw data is a responsibility of we who are collecting it and make sure that it's available in the right form. However, if the data is on your laptop, is on your phone, on your hard notebook, you are not helping the world. You're not helping Somalia. When you go with it. My PhD in knowledge management was about tacit knowledge, knowledge which is between your ears. How do you manage it? Very little that you write on a book, which is explicit knowledge. And so we want AI optimized decision support systems, and here development of AI-powered dashboards for crop forecasting, input optimization, climate resilience planning is the way to go. And so here Asarika can support the co-design of farmer-facing tools in local languages, ensuring inclusivity and usability. So we can do this using Somali language so that people can understand what exactly is happening. And by championing these platforms, a moderator, Asarika can catalyze regional transformation in agricultural research and extension, enabling smarter, faster, and more resilient decision-making across Eastern and Central Africa. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's applaud Dr. Sylvester. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those very useful contributions to ensure that we know how to make our intervention. And finally, not the least anyway, let me call on Mr. Issa Mohammed Ali from GIZ EAC AI Advisor. Now, we need your advice. What regional architecture is needed for safe, scalable, and AI services across EAC value chain, and what financing and partnership approaches could take a broader or a cross-border AI services from pilot to scale within 1 year. We don't have time. We want to move quickly. We're just told by Mr. Sylvester, you can write a policy brief within 3 seconds. I'm sure 3 seconds. 15 minutes is too long. If you have the data, you just tell it, just give the instruction, it gives you. So we are very generous. 1 year. What can we do? You have 2 minutes to tell us what to be done in 1 year.
Yeah, I need more time than the AI to explain it. So I'm excited to be able to share one of the projects that we're working on, which is the EAC Regional AI Alliance. And the entire direction with that is the countries, the partner states, the organizations, a lot of what's already been talked about here are doing great work. They've already started working on it, from FAO to country states. Somalia has a lot of interesting work that the CIMAD University is doing, to local data centers that are being pioneered here with the submarine cables that exist. A lot of work is already happening. If we really want to be able to scale these technologies and the impact that it brings, because it's not about the technology. The technology is a means to an end. Our real goal is the impact and the potential that brings with it. The ability to serve the underserved. Because the true potential about artificial intelligence is that it can serve at scale at a quality that's never been possible before. We can give personalized service, care, thought, and attention to each individual, to the farmers, to the producers, to the families. And that's the potential of the technology. But to be able to do that in a scale level, we really need to work on what has already happened. Work with people who are here, who are pioneering a lot of this. With the Regional AI Alliance, that's exactly what we're doing. We've talked about the data, we've talked about the compute. Africa says its biggest potential is its youth. I say its biggest potential is its youth only if they are skilled. An unskilled youth population is not going to be useful. A skilled youthful population is what's going to drive economic growth and integration. They're the ones who are going to build the solutions and the technology. With our project, we are working directly with the EAC and its partner states, IUCA and EACCON, and the Secretariat to be able to train at least 50,000 individuals and learners within the next 3 years. We're looking at supporting research is the AI for EAC Innovation Challenge. And this is going to be an opportunity for 2,000 participants across the region to work on solving different AI problems. And it is purely AI modeling. We're focusing on AI skill. We're bringing together partners from private sector, public sector, government, including the likes of IBM, LinkedIn, Microsoft, to be able to provide training, capacity for the learners and the participants, and then bring in partners to come in with the data and problem statements to work on those solutions, so that together we're like, okay, the work exists, let's bring them together and catalyze that to continue scaling the growth and involvement. We're going to identify specific projects that are already in place, identify what they need to be able to go to scale, and match them with the relevant partners, with compute, with the investment funding and opportunities. And it's the collaborative approach that is really going to let us scale.
Thank you, Mr. Essa, for those useful words. Our time is fast spent, but I still want to give one question, one burning question from the audience, and tell us who you are addressing the question to. Yes, please. Can I get a mic to the hand up? If you don't mind, I want one man, one woman, because I believe in one man, one woman. Do I have a female hand up? A female, one man. Yes, give to that man. He's very anxious to ask his question. And then the female, please get ready. Yes, you can start. Who has him? Okay, the mic is coming. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Ahmed Mohamed, strategic communication specialist. My question goes to, I've got two questions, but I'll make it brief. And my question goes to Dr. Mohamed Abdi. He mentioned in his presentation that a lot is being done. For us, for the Somali mother and the father in the field, to get all the services and all the good things about AI that I've seen here. And we need to have a well-balanced thought on this. And what I want from the team is, all this is achievable only if we have a systemic approach, all-inclusive, socio-economical and political approach and solution from the government and interested parties. So the point I want from him, since he's in charge of research, when farmers down there in Afgoya and generally, they want to bring their goods to the country from the outskirts to the city. If there are no policies, or if the policies won't work, how will that be possible if we don't give farmers the trust, if we don't give them the confidence? You protect the farmers from exploitation. For instance, you will find companies and corporates bringing crops and fruits and vegetables from outside. Okay. Me, Ahmed, as a farmer, if I have a farm, I have structural issue, security is an issue, access is an issue, then why will I be in farming? Okay. That is the point. All right. What is the value of me doing farming when people they have this free access to markets from East Africa and the rest of the world? That is a critical issue that we need to address.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just one more to the AI guy. The AI guy, the internet penetration in the country is 19.5, which means our people have access to internet. What I want is, how do we bridge gap? The fintech team, how are we going to bridge gap for the farmers, for the people on the ground? We do have access to internet on the ground.
Okay.
But my question is, in country context, and country language is Somali. The fintech team and the developers and the associations that are here.
Okay.
What I want to ask them is, how are we going to bridge that gap of putting the knowledge, the expertise of Somali people, using AI to improve their livelihood in farming and other services? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are very, very critical questions. And just one lady. Thank you very much. Are you the lady? Please, only one lady. Find a lady's hand. Women, speak now or forever keep quiet. Thank you for being the bold one. Yes, speak.
Thank you very much for giving women opportunity to ask questions. I want to ask, in what way can AI help farmers to adapt unpredictable weather and climate shocks?
Thank you very much. You've heard the question. Who wants to take the first one? One was directed to you. Can you respond very quickly, briefly? Yes.
Thank you for you raising this important question. If I joke my fellow Somali in Somali language, in su'aashaada waxay u dhigantaa waxaan ogahay makuu sheegaa. Marka, let me explain this also in English. This is saying that, let me tell you something that I know. So what I want to highlight is that this is a general issue inside the country. The matter that you raised, particularly how can the small farmers have access to the market while we have all issues related to the security. That this is, I think, is very generic, and I hope that when it comes to security, this is multi-institutional, it needs multi-institutional approach, where security has to sort out the issue related to the access to the market, particularly, you know that most parts of our agricultural land are under issues related to security, but if you compare to a farmer who is struggling with the issue of security to a farmer who doesn't have any obstacle, so we are comparing incomparable points. So this is issue related to the security, and I hope this one day will be sorted out. So I cannot give you a clear answer, but even you can answer yourself why our farmers are struggling when it comes to the market access in terms of also either local or export.
Okay, thank you very much. And how can we bridge the AI digital divide? Yeah.
The AI digital divide is still very real. The haves have it. They don't have it. But it is our responsibility as government and development partners to reduce this gap. First approach is to use e-advisory services powered by AI. The advisory services or extension services where we have extension agents that are living with the farmers. They are able to access this data, this information, and help them to make meaningful decisions. That's the first approach. But of course, the second and long-lasting is to build the capacities of farmers. They don't have to know English. We can have these applications in the local languages so that they are able to do meaningful search and come up with useful information. Now, with literacy improving in Africa, I think this is the way to go. If they can't read and write, we can still develop dashboards where they can just talk into the system. In fact, even we who are learned, who went to school, who know how to read and write, a number of these AI platforms, you can just press a button which looks like a microphone, you talk into it, what your question is, and then it will generate for you the answer. And if you can't read, you can still click on a button that looks like a speaker, and you will listen. So this is one way of empowering our farmers and reducing that digital divide. But also as government, to make sure that we put in place mechanisms of reducing the cost of access to internet. Now, I'm glad here we can access internet through the UN system, but out there, maybe not at all. We have a hotel in Uganda called Entebbe Resort Beach Hotel. In the evening, I used to find so many people outside, seated, and I would wonder what they were doing. They were accessing free internet. So we need to make sure that internet is cheap. If we can't make it free completely, but I would love to see in the future where internet is very free and everyone can access it anywhere at any time.
Thank you very much. Esa, just one word.
Very quickly, let's not talk theory. Yesterday we were doing a training with higher learning universities with CIMAD and UNESCO Campus Africa, and I already have an email from one of the participants that's from City University that has built a solution that lets people access digital money like EVC in Somali language through voice. So through a normal call, you can access your mobile money in your own language. So we're not talking about theory on, oh, how do we do this? There are people in the country, in the universities here, that are already doing it. We just need to find them and learn more.
Thank you very much. And you, sir, one word, one parting word. Yes,
Me?
just one word.
Well,
or one sentence.
One word is about
One sentence.
as I've already said, the information that we give to the artificial intelligence is what then create the outcome. So what is important is that from the government point of view, probably is the monitoring of the information that are feeding the AI systems, and so having high quality information for high quality outputs. So that is what I push for.
High quality information, high quality output. One word. Yes.
I would like.
Yes.
I would like to add on the true value of AI and digital system is not the technology, but it's about the trust they create. So, if the data is transparent, I think if the data is transparent and the service is. What I was saying is that the true value of AI and digital system does not lie their technology, but it lies the trust that it creates. When the data is transparent, the service is fair and fast. Our farmers and exporters can trust the service, as well as Somali or the EAC partners. We can build, we can have trust-based trading system within the region as well as the rest of the world.
So we need to build trust. And one sentence, short sentence.
Right, thank you. Actually, I just want to answer that gentleman who asked me about the people on the ground. Yes, people on the ground, they cannot access the real data. We cannot access the data from the real people on the ground. But now, fortunately, we have Starlink now. So with the Starlink and small device called Raspberry Pi, we can collect the data from on the ground very quickly. In terms of education, definitely, at Eurozone, we have something called Cloud Eye Lab, where we can train people hands-on in AI. And you can subscribe to us or join us. I think that's it. My other advice to everyone who is in Somalia is to say, guys, this is the time of data. This is the time of AI. We cannot be left behind. So we need to be really very active in artificial intelligence and augmenting our intelligence. That is what my advice is, and we will help you whatever we can to give you a hands-on experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And what we have heard from the panelists is that AI is a catalyst for transforming agriculture into a driver of economic growth. We've also heard that integrating AI into national food security strategies and regional cooperation frameworks is key to rapid national development. And also linking AI and technology adoption to job creation, youth engagement, and skills development is key to providing jobs for the teeming population of our youth. Our youth don't want to go again to the farm and be farming the way they used to farm in those days. They want to use AI and smart technology. Also, we need to harness AI to strengthen resilience against climate shocks and to ensure sustainable use of resources. And finally, that building partnerships, making the right policies, policies like opening centers where people can go to for free connection to do good business, Policies and investments are needed to scale up AI solutions across Somalia and, of course, across the EAC region. This is very crucial as a catalyst for rapid and sustainable development. And as we see in recent job forecasts, key sectors like renewable energy, climate smart agro-businesses, and technology highlighting significant global and regional growth trends shows that the areas that we need to focus is on application of AI. Many of the jobs emerging in these sectors require green skills. It requires encompassing the knowledge, the foresights, and the skills needed to reduce environmental impact through more sustainable practices and the use of low carbon technologies and green innovation. And AI is this catalyst. It has come to stay. It's not going in a hurry. We better use it as a tool because it cannot replace us, but it's going to help us to do what we cherish most very quickly. On this note, I want us to applaud our panelists for doing a very good job at this topic in this most short period, even though they are loaded with more ideas. Shall we applaud them? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. Over to you, moderator.
Media team, please, can you take a photo of this panel? Media team, please give me the go-ahead if you are ready. That was a very interesting panel discussion. Thank you so much to the moderator, Ms. Patience, for your excellent work, asking the tough questions. And of course, you did not take a short time. That was just a reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Big round of applause to our panelists. Such an important discussion on AI and how it can use to reinvent agriculture and food security in the East African region. I think for me, myself, the key highlight of this was data. Data is critical. We need to feed into our data. We need to extract tacit knowledge, as Dr. Sylvester mentioned. We need to rely on our own experiences of our farmers, our producers, and our environment to feed into our data systems and make AI a catalyst for a relevant change in our agriculture and food security. Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'm standing here beside you to welcome you to the second day and the final day of the East African Conference 2025. I would like to acknowledge our sponsors, Hormud, the Habshil, and GIZ for their excellent support and excellent work in making sure we are here today to discuss such important topics like the one we have just experienced right now. For our next speaker, I would like to welcome to the stage the Minister of Public Works, Reconstruction and Housing of the Federal Republic of Somalia. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause to His Excellency Mohammed Abubakar Mohamud. Correction. There was some issues. I would like to welcome to the stage His Excellency Ilmi Mahmoud. Please, a big round of applause for him.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, distinguished guests and development partners, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is an honor to join you at this historic East African Community Conference 2025 here in Mogadishu. Today we celebrate Somalia's growing role in regional cooperation and our shared vision for prosperity through infrastructure, trade, and partnership. Allow me first to express my sincere appreciation to the Somali National University, SIMAD University, and other partner universities for organizing this important conference. And also I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, especially the EACCON Affairs Department and our department partners, including GIS, for their continued collaboration and support. And in fact, we have been listening this panel section, the IA, you see, how to be used and implemented in our technology and also in agriculture and also to managing our affairs. While we virtually, we can fly to the stars and we may manage our life ideally, but physically the situation could be different. Just observing the map here, the accession of Somalia to the EAC makes the map of EAC a meaningful picture if you observe it. It seems to be a loaded camel, you see, stretching from, the Atlantic Sea to the Gulf of Aden, heading to the global markets in Asia, and looking back probably to the Mediterranean Sea, to the market of Europe. So this is a heavy loaded camel, probably carrying a lot of goods and resources that to carry to the international markets. So this is a symbolic, it's a symbol, a historical symbol of trade and transport. It's a giant camel covering the distance of 5,000 kilometers, starting from the tip of the Horn of Africa to the banana, beaches and Congo River of Atlantic Ocean. So this is a very giant picture, and it's a huge resources that requires to be, utilize it, develop it, and export it, and contribute it to the prosperity of these people and to the prosperity of the world. So here, it is really a resourceful region and most strategic block connecting Atlantic and Indian Oceans to the Gulf and Red Sea connection. half of Indian Ocean coast in Africa, it occurs in this region. About more than 3,000 kilometers of Indian Ocean in African coast. It is a population of 300 million people, and also you see the GDP of 300 billion, you can say, US dollar. So it's roughly, you see 1,000, you can say, US dollar per capita. So still, we are in a very lower level, you see, in average. So therefore, we need to see these huge resources that you see, bring this water to the Mediterranean, to the Mediterranean countries, specifically Egypt, Sudan, and all, to give also as well, you see, to produce goods and services so that it can prosper. So therefore, the infrastructure remains the foundation. Here, what I mean is that what we need is the infrastructure, you see, on the real ground. Infrastructure remains the foundation of regional integration. It connects people, markets, and opportunities through National Transformation Plan 2025-2029. Somalia is aligning this infrastructure agenda with the EAC Vision 2050, focusing on roads, housing, logistics that link our economy with the neighboring regions or neighboring countries. One of the flagship programs in the Somali Horn of Africa Integrated Infrastructure Project, which is called a SHIP. This project aims to connect Somalia's key ports, Mogadishu, Kismayo, Hobyo, Berbera, to neighboring country corridors in Kenya, Ethiopia, Djibouti. SHIP is more than a road project. It is a regional investment in trade and mobility and integration. Several SHIP corridors are also included in the National Transformation Plan and will be implemented through public-private partnership. This marks a new era of infrastructure investment where government and private sector development partners work hand in hand to deliver projects that create jobs, improve connectivity, and strengthen our shared economic base. Somalia membership in East Africa community presents a powerful opportunity and potential, you can say, resources for regional growth. We are committed to harmonizing our infrastructure standard, expanding logistics network, exploring potential trade opportunities, and promoting investments that benefit the entire region, from Mogadishu to the Mombasa, from Kismayo to Kampala and beyond. Distinguished participants, infrastructure is not just about roads and building. It is about people, it's about linking economies, creating opportunities, and building peace through development. Together, through SHIP and public-private partnership and National Transformation Plan, we can transform our region into one of the connectivity and shared prosperity. If I add with few words with the Somali, I think waxaan u malaynayaa shirkani muhiim buu inoo yahay Soomaaliya haddanuna. Saan hadda u sheegay waxa weeye waad aragtaan regionkan waxaa lagu kordhinayaa Soomaaliya markay ku soo biirtay inay muxuu ahaayay u furtay opportunities cusub oo ah sidaad ka aragtaan awrkan aadka u raran ee culayska badani moogtay dilay ee resourceskiisii muxuu ahaay meeluu markaa u gudbiyay muxuu ahaay raadinaya wuxuu ku jihaysan yahay ee muxuu ahaayay suuqyada waaweyn ee Asia iyo suuqyada waaweyn ee muxuu ahaayay ilaa muxuu ahaayay Europe iyo Mediterranean ayuu ku jihaysan yahay. Marka hadday Soomaaliya ay noqoto route-ka isku xidhaya wadamada cabtay khaliijka, hadday dunida muxuu ahaay regionkeenu yahay meeshii resourceska iyo wax soo saarka ee muxuu ahaay ugu badan harihii waaweyn ku yaalaan, biyaha muxuu ahaay ugu badan leh, beeraha ugu badan laga soo saari karo, waxay noqon kartaa basket muxuu ahaayay food basket ay caalamka u noqon kartaa. Wax badan bayna ka daaweyn kartaa food security-ga insecurity-ga ka taagan muxuu ahaay dunida ka taagan. So therefore, opportunities kaasi wuxuu abuurayaa inaynu resources-keena ka faa'iidaysano si aan uga faa'iidaysanana waxaa moogtay laga maarmaana in xoogga la saaro infrastructure-ka la saaro infrastructure-ka oo ah jidadka maanta waxaan muxuu ahaayey uga muxuu ahaayey wax laanahay oo noo isticmaali laanahay dhulkii beeraha loo qadan laayahay waxa weeye waa infrastructure la'aan waxaynu iskugu dhoofin laanahay muxuu ahaayey trade-keennu iskugu socon laayahay waxa weeye waa infrastructure la'aan weeye hadda waxaynu nahay custom union baynu nahay custom union level markaynu nahay mobility of goods and services waa inay isku socdaan wey si xawli la iskugu socdaan si bulshadu u kala faa'iidaysato socodkii waxa xanibay because ma haysano infrastructure ready ah ayaan jirin oo isku socodkii fududaynaya marka haddii uu muxuu ahaayey infrastructure-ka la develop gareeyo waxa weeye wax kastoo kaleba wuu fududaan karaa adduunyadana way dhoofin karaa suuqyadii caalamkaynu geen karaa muxuu ahaayey routiskii ugu waaweynaaye trade routiskii waaweynaa baynu muxuu ahaa dunida muxuu ahaayey na hor yaalla marka fursadaha taalla halkan accesskan muxuu ahaayey to East Africa wuxuu abuurayaa runtii Soomaaliya iyo regionkaba muxuu ahaa community-ga oo dhanba fursado waaweyn oo ay kaga bedeli karaan nolosha Afrika kaliya maahe adduunyada kale ee ku xeeran waa mahadsantihiin shirka waa muxuu ahaa aad baan u bogaadinayaa wassalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatu
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Ilmi Mahmoud Noor, who is the Minister of Public Works, Reconstruction and Housing of the Federal Republic of Somalia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to cover the next theme, which focuses on productive sector growth, specifically on enhancing public-private partnerships for regional industrialization. And for our first session in this theme, I would like to welcome to the stage to deliver a keynote address on the National Economic Council from the National Economic Council of the Federal Republic of Somalia, the Chief Economic Advisor and Chairman of the National Economic Council. Please give a big warm of applause to Mr. Hassan Adam Hosso. Please give him a big round of applause.
Excellencies, Minister of Public Works and Reconstruction, Dr. Ilmi Mahmoud Noor, Rectors of Simit University and Somali National University, government officials, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When the MC called me up, I took it both as an honor and a gentle reminder that I no longer have the option of sitting right there just listening. The best part of being invited to any forum like this. I'm honored to have attended the sessions yesterday, and upon reflecting the keynote addresses, the speeches, and the panel discussions, I came to realize that in the stillness of the horn, beneath the thunder of ambition, a storm is rising, not of conflict and instability, but of hope and national will, a hope and national will embodied in our Centennial Vision 2060 and the National Transformation Plan, which is the 5-year implementation tool of that vision, and as well as the recent progress we made on the economic development front. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to begin thanking the organizers of this event, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the CIMAD University, the Ministry of Education, the Somali National University, and the Ministry of Agriculture and GIZ. Thank you for your leadership and for organizing this event and for selecting Mogadishu for the second time in a row as the host city for this event. This morning, as the Indian Ocean washed over the shores of Mogadishu, it met a city no longer defined by the legacy of the past, but by the sound of cranes rising due to a construction boom, by markets buzzing with business and opportunity, and by people committed to transforming their country with a purpose. As a child growing up in this city, I remember fresh in my memories waking up to the sounds of and crackle of gunfire. That's no longer the case. We wake up to a hum of progress every morning. Somalia is not just recovering, it is accelerating, propelled by the determination of its people and the promise of a new era. As the newest member of the EAC community, we have enjoined to observe. I'm honored to have been with the President on his delegation to Arusha first time following the election in 2022, and the second time after we got admitted, that was in November 2023. That time, we did not join to observe, we joined to contribute, to lead, and to shape the region's future together with our brothers and sisters in the East Africa. But to shape that future, we must confront our present open-eyed and data-driven, like the educated minds told us a while ago in the panel. We must first understand the scale of challenge before we can build a solution worthy of our people. Let me begin with a number. 331 million. That is the estimated population of the East African community, were the updated numbers from the EAC Secretariat. Imagine 70% of that number are under the age of 30. Ask yourself, how many of those will have access to gainful employment within the next 5 years? In my estimation, and based on experience, far too few, I think. And I don't know if many of you disagree with me, but that is proven by fact and by history. Because despite our abundant human capital, the majority of these people, most of them young people, are trapped in low productivity work, informal economy, extractive economy that is limiting our potential. As gloomy as that may be, I want to be absolutely clear that this region is not a region of hopelessness. It is a region of unrealized greatness. Let us keep playing with the numbers because they tell us stories with no bias. Manufacturing contributes to the combined GDP of East African community about 97%. The intra-EAC trade is around 15%, lagging behind the EU of about 60% and the ASEAN at 25%. The private sector, of course, creates most of the jobs, but it is still held back by infrastructure gaps, fragmented policies, and weak value chains. Yesterday, I heard the assertions from some of the speakers who I respectively disagree with. The assertion was that our future lies in agriculture alone. As history tells us, no country, none, zero, has been able to reach the high income status solely because of the primary sector. We need to produce